Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahaihi. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Is the verse 5. Who would like to read? Sushilji, you want to read?
We're reading from the beginning.
Right. Yeah. He who knows this Atman. Because I already explained everything. And
Right.
so we will know once we read it will come back to us hopefully.
He, Mumukshu, who knows this Atman, the enjoyer of honey, the sustainer of life, and the Lord of the past and the future, as very near. He fears no more thereafter. This is verily that.
Okay. So this Aitat Vaitat is going on now for so many verses that this is that. And the main thing in this particular one is they were talking about enjoyer of honey means karma phala. We talked about it. And then we also gave example of those two birds. One is just witnessing and the other one is actually eating good and bad fruits or whatever and then feeling happy and sad. But either enjoyer of honey bola hai. But that's what karma phala can be both ways. And he also said that the one who is beyond 3 periods of time, Lord of Kala, Kalatit or Mahakal, like we say for Shiva. So he came before time. Time came after him. That's how. So, and he's also very near because the more you go inward journey, you reach that Buddhi Guha or Hriday Guha you talk about, the cave of your heart or, your intellect. That's where it resides. And then one who knows this, fear is gone. That's what this verse is going to tell us. Before that, it was grief was gone. And ye grief or fear, ye sab bhai behan hai aapas mein. So if one goes, the other one will go too. But that they're giving you, different ways to approach this. So that's what this verse is about. Yeah.
Not only does such a perfected one go beyond the source of sobs and tears, but shall, says this mantra, reach the domain of fearlessness. Madhvadam, the enjoyer of honey. Honey here stands for the good fruits of meritorious acts performed by the egocentric jivas. The Atman, pure consciousness, is said to be here the eater of honey, meaning he is the enjoyer of all the good luck that accrues to one as a result of noble acts of kindness, mercy, and love performed in earlier states of existence.
So we went in detail about this, that, here they're mentioning, honey as a good thing, but karma phala basically. Okay.
This statement, in fact, if understood literally, would go against the grains of very philosophy of Vedanta, as Atman is neither an enjoyer nor a doer. In case we accept this, in case we accept the Atman to be the enjoyer in pure consciousness, which one without a second. Okay, let me read again. In case we accept the Atman to be the enjoyer in pure consciousness, which one without second, how can there be enjoyed and the enjoying separate from the eternal enjoyer?
Okay, so here this is a little bit technical, huh? So the way I don't know if there is some word that is different in your, this is how I will read it. In pure consciousness, which is one without a second. How can there be the enjoyed and the enjoying separate from the eternal enjoyer?
Yeah, that's why I was reading it again because it was a little confusing where it's written right.
Yeah. So,
right.
So one without a second means that it's called non-dual, जिसमें दो चीज नहीं है. One without a second में दूसरा है ही नहीं. Okay, so he's saying that if the pure Vedanta is telling you that, hey, this Brahman is the only thing and it does not have any other duality, so how can there be enjoying and enjoyer? दो कैसे हो सकते हैं? बट इसमें फिर भी बोला गया है क्यों, तो उसका डिटेल में एक्सप्लेनेशन स्वामी जी देंगे कि इट्स लाइक they are talking from a different perspective. That's all they are saying, because in Vedanta, contradictory things are going to be said, because both can be true depending on which angle you are looking at, and you have to catch both meaning. That's what Vedanta is all about. And that's why, like it was Sarvapriyananji who said that कि one of the sadhus told him in Himalaya कि जब दो विपरीत चीजें साथ में पकड़ में आ जाए ना, तब समझना वेदांत समझ में आ रहा है. Because there's so much contradiction is there. And I give that famous example that if somebody puts a stone on a table and says, is this a solid or it's non-solid stuff? What will mostly will say, if you just look at it, it's a solid stuff because water is liquid. But a scientist will say, no, this is not solid. There are all those atoms में तो कितना चक्कर चल रहा है, वो प्रोटॉन न्यूट्रॉन जो भी है सब क्या बोलते हैं, I don't even know all the science, but those three things, proton, electron and neutron, वो सब घूम रहे हैं उसके अंदर, right? So it's not solid. So, and if you see something with the microscope, you will see all kinds of different things. So that's exactly how it is. That it is this way and that way also. Why did they say that? He's going to explain.
Atman is the intelligence that illumines for us both the acts of commissions and omissions, meritorious or otherwise. It is again the light principle that illumines for us both our joys and sorrows. The sun may illumine equally a scene of murder at one place and a scene of great yajna at another place. But the sun never gets defiled by the blood, not purified by the mantras. Similarly, the Atma Chaitanya is only a witnessing light of pure intelligence, lending its consciousness to all acts committed by egocentric vain jiva during its self-forgetful, delusory transactions in life. But here the Upanishad calls the Atman as an enjoyer of the fruits of the good acts, only in its conditioned aspect. We have already found that the body, mind, intellect, equipment in itself has no life of its own, it being made up of mere dead matter. It is the spirit in us that lends to these coverings a similar acrum of life.
So I had to look up this word Sushilji in the dictionary because I'd never heard of it. All it means is that likeness, because it's like if you have an iron ball and you put it near the heat, that heat will get transferred and it will become hot, but it's not the heat of that fire. It's just a borrowed heat. So that's how this word is like. Means Atma se usko sentiency mili hai. Because we have seen that even mind, body and intellect. See, in the beginning when we started studying Vedanta, we had a very hard time believing that mind and intellect is also made of matter. Right? But it is made of matter, the subtle matter they call it. And the example is given like if you take a ice and you start melting it, So first it becomes water and then it becomes sukshma more. It becomes like a bhashp. It will disappear everywhere. So that same way you have a solid matter and then you have sukshma matter, subtle matter, which is mind and intellect. So by itself, it does not have any power. Of anything, thinking or feeling or recognizing, nothing. It's because of the Atma ka borrowed power se wo sentient ho jata hai. That's what they're trying to tell. So that's what he's explaining over here. And he also is explaining at the highest level, Atma is just a witness. So technically speaking, it doesn't care about enjoying or not enjoying because it's above it. It's, and it's the same example like a sun is shining and giving us the power to work, because in the light of the sun we are able to function, but what you do depends on your own mind, body, and intellect. Sun is not interfering in that. And the second example we have used over here is about gas in the car. Gas is just gives, if you push the pedal, gas will let you move forward, but whether you go and crash the car or reach your destination, that depends on you. Gas has no say in it. That's what Swamiji is trying to explain. At the highest level, this doesn't sound right, that how can it be enjoyer, but in the next paragraph now he's going to explain why did the Upanishad say that.
To make this point clearer, let us take an example. The glass bulb or the filament has no capacity in itself to illumine objects in the dark room. But when the required quantity of electricity is allowed to flow through the same filament, the bulb gains a special capacity to illumine the objects of the room. In fact, the electricity as such does not illumine the room. It is the glowing filament in the bulb that gives us the light. Yet, don't we in our transactions say that the room is lit by the electricity? It is exactly in a similar way. We have here the statement that Atman is the enjoyer of the fruits of actions. Atman is conditioned by the mind, intellect, and body, is actually what is meant here.
So now everybody kind of got it. So he gave such a beautiful example that electricity and bulb, these are two different things, right? So he's saying that without the electricity, bulb cannot shine at all. When the electricity is put through it, suddenly the bulb starts giving light. So we can, sometimes we say, oh, हम लोग हिंदी में तो बोलते ही हैं बिजली जलाओ, right? हम लोग ना तो bulb जलाओ, we never say बिजली जलाओ, So we're saying that electricity is illuminating that thing. When the two come in contact, then the light comes, and it is just as though the electricity is giving the light. But in reality, electricity directly has nothing to do with light. When it goes through the bulb, it gives light. Same way, he's saying that when that Brahman expresses through our mind, body, and intellect, as though it becomes the enjoyer of the thing. That's all he's saying. It's a little complicated, but
One who realizes his Atman henceforth fears no more. Where there is a raga, attachment, there bhava, fear,
Bhaya.
and
It's bhaya.
Bhaya, yeah. Their bhaya, fear, and krodha, anger, coexist. When, as we have seen in the last mantra, a perfected soul has reached the state of desirelessness, he has no more attachments with any particular objects of the world. And naturally, there cannot be in him any sense of fear. He has, in his true wisdom, realized the shadow nothingness of his dream body, and so does not fear even the death, which to him is only an escape from his self-created body cocoon. He has no attachments even with his body. He is perfectly above all body consciousness. This verily is the Brahman which thou hast asked for.
So he's just explaining further that why he does not have a fear, because fear की वजह से, attachment की वजह से, fear होता है. There's no other cause for fear otherwise. When you are attached to something, what are we scared of? ये नहीं मिलेगा, वो नहीं मिलेगा, ये हो जाएगा, वो हो जाएगा. We don't want any changes. All he's saying here is absolutely no attachment, because he realizes it is like he says, shadow nothingness of a dream body. So firstly, there are two things he said. It's like a dream body. We don't get attached to our dream body. हम लोग क्या क्या बन जाते हैं पता नहीं ड्रीम में. कभी हमें उड़ेंगे, कभी some bad thing happens. Some people even see that, oh, I died in my dream or something. Few people, that also happened. Then, oh yeah, I'm alive. So you don't get attached to that dream body. And then shadow also. I mean, can you imagine that if we are standing in the sunshine and the shadow is there, and then some car goes over it, we don't start screaming because, hey, shadow is crushed by car. It's a crazy example, okay? But from that highest perspective, that's what he thinks, that, hey, this body is like a shadow. It's not a real thing. Just temporary thing that has come. That's why he's not attached to it. So that somebody was saying in the class, no, that fear of death. I think my sister, she's not here. She was saying that is the most powerful fear. और बाकी fear सब उसके पीछे शुरू हो जाते हैं. So जिसका वो main fear ही खत्म हो गया, so then he's not going to have any fear of anyone. He will do the right thing fearlessly. You know, and that's why, I mean, all these saints and sages, there are so many stories are there, you know, about that Alexander and that saint, you know, that Alexander told that, hey, come and meet me. So he said, I'm not coming. You know, if you want to come and meet me over here. I don't go anywhere. And when all his soldiers were so scared, इसको डर नहीं लगता, Alexander तो 1 minute में इसका chop कर देगा head. But then Alexander thought, my God, somebody had the audacity and the guts to say that. Let me go see him, who he is. Then the whole story goes that how that man told him that, hey, you are conquering all this land and all for what? When you die, you're going to only need like 6 feet land, you know, and things like that. So fearlessness, basically, they're telling you. Where does it come from? It comes from this one who is completely realizes that what the truth is. Then he becomes fearless. So in my book, there is one paragraph. The self is here indicated as a principle of knowledge, because of which all knowledge of perceptions and experiences are possible. So this is another very important statement, because this knowledge is the core of all the other knowledges, because of which all other perceptions happen. Knowing meaning realizing this self, the knower escapes all fear. So here what they mean by is the one who realizes the Brahman escapes all fear. Any question, comment, or somebody wants to add anything to this? Okay, so everybody okay with it? So the next verse. Verse 6, I'm going to chant. Yah purvam tapaso jatam adhabhyah purvam ajayata guham pravishya tishtantam yo bhuter vyapashyata aitad vaitad. Here is who, purvam, in the beginning, tapasaha, tapas of Brahmaji. We'll see what it means. Jatam means to was born, adabhyaha purvam, before the waters. So यहाँ पर water बोला है, मगर before all the 5 elements they mean. They always in this there are very few words, but you have to see the whole meaning. Ajayataha was born. Guham is cave of heart. Pravishya, having entered. Tishtantam, he who dwells. Yaha is who. Bhute bhihi, within the 5 elements. Vyapashyat, beholds. Etat is this. Is, we know, very verily that. Tat is that. So now what they are talking about over here. Now this verse, believe it or not, even Tejo Mayananji said, it's a little bit difficult to understand. I'll try my best. So if Tejo Mayananji is saying that, I don't know where I stand, no way. But I will still try. Okay. So basically, you know, he's one of the theories of creation. Because sabhi ko ye, you know, the technical word creation is also not correct, because manifestation. Because nothing gets created. Even science tells you that, you know, energy becomes matter, matter becomes energy. So it's not like something new, it's just manifestation is happening. So theory of manifestation, you can say that it is explaining. And the whole idea about the theory of manifestation, to explain that, is so that you reach that final Brahman. Because सभी को ये क्यूरियोसिटी होती है ना, ये दुनिया आई कैसे भाई, ये 5 तत्व कहाँ से आए हैं, पहले क्या हुआ था, ये वो जो 1000 सवाल सबके मन में उठते हैं. तो उस सबको शांत करने के लिए ना, like this Upanishad make an attempt. That's how you can look at it. So what is word saying? Etad vaitad, everybody knows that. Hey, again it's saying that, hey, this is that. And then the whole thing starts with a yaha. Yaha means he's talking about, a person. But that a person is not an ordinary person. The one who recognizes something. What does he recognize? Consciousness. So, and then over here, what they're saying is that before all these elements came into existence, they were unmanifested. So it's not like they completely disappear, but they are in unmanifest condition. And how do I explain unmanifest? The best way to explain is a seed and a tree. If I pick up a seed and put it in my hand, and I say, what do you see? So it's a seed, but some person, who's a deep thinker will say, it's a whole tree I'm seeing in that seed. Because in unmanifest condition, once you put that in the ground and give water or this or that, it will start sprouting and one day become a large tree. So in the seed form, it's unmanifested, you can say. So all these elements, they are unmanifested, but uske bhi piche kya hai, that basically we will come to. So basically there's one reality, one Brahman, right? And then but in that whole Brahman, unmanifested, everything remains in it in seed form. That's how you have to look. So it's this same avastha was mentioned even earlier. Usko avyakt bola tha unhone, one of the verses earlier in the same Kathoupanishad that they talked about this avastha. So then how does the creation happen? So basically saying, okay, the Brahman is there. A stage comes that Brahman becomes conscious of itself. Just in a story form, it's mentioned over here. A story form bola or some kind of explanation they are giving that what happens. So became aware of, conscious of itself. So this self-awareness that came to the Brahman, I am, that becomes a Hiranyagarbha. Okay, when we talk about Hiranyagarbha, is that total mind and intellect. Remember they talked about total mind and intellect, the self-awareness. And there's another word, I don't know if you have heard of it, it's called Mahatattva. Anybody heard of that word, Mahatattva? So Mahatattva is a stage before the elements are come. उसको बोलते हैं ना 5 तत्व बोलते हैं एलिमेंट्स को. तो वो कहाँ से आया? वो महतत्व से आया. महतत्व क्या है? It is from the standpoint of total intelligence. I think Joe talks about the cosmic intelligence, right? So that cosmic intelligence, the total intelligence, together it's called Mahatattva. And from that, the Pehle was Brahman. Brahman became aware of itself. And then there are some technical things. There are few words which are like Hiranyagarbha is from the perspective of consciousness. And Mahatattva is from the perspective of in total intellect. That's the difference if somebody wants to see the difference. And the Hiranyagarbha is the same as Mahan Atma usko bola tha. Sabka milake, Ishwar Tattva, So when this consciousness expressing through the total intellect is called Hiranyagarbha, and at that stage, the तपस जो वर्ड यूज किया ना उसको हिंदी में बोलते हैं तपस्या करना. तो कोई सोचेगा कि भाई व्हाट इज तपस्या, यू सी लाइक इन सम serials and all this spiritual type of serial when they create, they say कोई एक टांग पे खड़ा होके कर रहा है, कुछ कर रहा है. Not that kind of tapas they are talking about. Here what they are talking about, the tapas is awareness. That a form of knowledge you can call it. That when you that kind of tapas, with that kind of tapas, with self-awareness, jatam, the word over here is used in this word. Jatam means born. From that, total intellect is born. From that tapas. When it becomes self-aware of itself, total intelligence is born. And this happens before water, means before all 5 elements. And what are the 5 elements? We know space, air, fire, water, and earth. So the Hiranyagarbha came into existence first, and then the whole creation started from there. All these 5 things came, and then the next manifestation, it's called, in the technical language, is called Virat Roop. So whoever has done the Bhagavad Gita chapter 11, you saw that usko Virat Roop dikhaya apna. It's like the physical form of the cosmos he showed him. So that Virat is the next step from Hiranyagarbha. Physical universe comes into existence. So, and in this physical universe, so many different kind of pranis are come, and Manushya, Pashu Pakshi, and then all the other kind of bodies also, which are mentioned in our Puranas, Gandharva and kya bolte hai usko, Kinnar and pata nahi kaun, all these, they include everything. Okay? So all these bodies come into existence, and they also become aware of themselves. It's like, the same consciousness is coming through this only, in different stages. From Hiranyagarbha, Virat, and within Virat, all these things are included. And then the way the language over here is used is Guham Pravishyati, means he enters into all the bodies. So what Tejomena ji was explaining, it's not like Brahman has entered like we entered a house, that bahar se andar chale gaya. Aisa nahi hai. All it means is that identified with this body. So it was always there, but now it's identifying with the body. That's why they use this word that Bhagwan has entered the cave of your heart. They're just using that as a language, but it's not technically entering. It was always there. It just became aware of itself. That's what it means. And then that's how we get this feeling, I am this, I am that, whatever, each one of us become aware of it. It's coming because the Brahman is in our cave of our heart. And then the same word is used here also, Hriday Guha or Buddhi Guha. These words are used. A cave of a heart or a cave of an intellect, your Paramatma is there. That's what it means. And the word Bhute Bhi over here, that includes, all different elements and the physical body. And physical bodies also, we already know, consist of sense organs, organs of action. Everything becomes alive because of that. And he's saying that Etad Vetad, this is what we are talking about over here, is that what you asked. So he's giving an explanation that, in the theory of creation, you can call it, that what that Brahman is. Truth is Brahman alone that's the absolute reality, and that's what you need to understand. That's the main thing. And the rest of it all is just, they call it upadhi in Sanskrit. I don't know how to translate that. Or conditioning, you can call it. They appear as jiva, but the truth is, whether you talk about Ishwar or the jiva or the world, the essence is the same. But 3 things are there, right? The jivas are there, different beings, and then this world is there. They are made of 5 elements. And the Ishwar, the God principle. All of them, the essence is that Brahman. That Paramatma or Brahman, that manifested in this world. And the other point that he tried to bring, which is important for people who maybe you already know, maybe you don't, that, hey, where did you get the material to make this world? So he's saying that it's not like he had to go and buy some material somewhere, give a tender and all, nothing like that. He himself created from himself. So how that is possible? So the best example they give in the world is that spider. It seems spider makes the web by his own spit. Sounds gross, but that's the truth. He doesn't go to Home Depot to buy the material to make his web. He takes it out of his own mouth and he creates. And then, I don't know, he doesn't take it back, so the example may not be perfect. But here, that God created this, manifested this whole world from himself, and then it merges back in him only.
We can talk of dream,
Yeah,
right?
dream is a very
It's
good
the same.
example. Same thing, or the waves and the ocean.
Yeah.
Waves rise
So
and they disappear. So all those were
that
valid.
thing, you create your own world in
Yeah,
it.
you create that. Dream is a very good example. Exactly. Because sometimes we say, how did that happen? No, we see it in a material world also. We can give examples. That's exactly what it is. So he's saying that that's what this person knows so well, that, hey, you can talk about man of steady wisdom over here, that, hey, Jeev, Jagat and Ishwar, all
Yes.
one, made of one material only. And that's what it is. The one who understands this, that it is the same. And here Swamiji is going to explain as macrocosm and microcosm, totality and individuality. And that knowledge is Aitad Vaitad. This is that. So what Swamiji was saying, Tejomayanandji, that if you're familiar with some of these things, probably you'll understand. A person who has never heard of it might find it difficult. But some of you have already done, read Bhagavad Gita and some Upanishads and all that. So you will probably, it sinks into you. So even if you heard it first time, if you didn't understand everything, don't worry about it, because it's a hard concept. And the main thing is, if you can just even understand this much, that what I am, I'm not just the body, mind, and intellect. I am that Satchidanand. Even then, it is like a very big revelation. You don't even understand all the technicality. It's totally fine. So, and then he gave a very beautiful example, which we never think about. Tejomayanandji said that in our everyday life also a similar process happens. Okay, when we go to sleep, तो बोलते हैं ना सब लय हो जाता है. In a deep sleep क्या होता है? You go back in the seed form. You're not aware of the body, you are not aware of the mind, and you are just, they call it karan, sharir में चले जाते हो तुम. Unmanifested. He's saying what happens when you first wake up? You say, first thing that happens is I become aware of myself. Okay, I'm Uma, and okay, now what? And he's saying, फिर मेरे को तपस करना पड़ता है. अच्छा, आज मुझे क्या करना है? सभी के साथ होता है ये. And sometimes, like our memory is getting little weak, so I actually write down sometimes and put it in a note that, I have to do some very important thing I don't want to forget, because like it happened to Shireen. She forgot the class. She had to do tapas. If she had done a little bit of tapas, she would have not forgotten. So you think tapas means, you sit there and you're not standing on one leg or anything. Your intelligence, you are waking up. Hey, what do I have to do next? And then you start the whole process in the day. Same way, he's saying that Brahman, when it wakes up, say, oh, conscious of itself. Then Brahmaji, when it came, the whole story is the Puranic story, whoever has heard it. When Brahmaji got manifested, he didn't know which way was up. He was like, who am I? Where am I? And they said, then he had to do tapas. Then he realized who he was, what he had to do. He had to think, in a form of knowledge and awareness. And that's what he's talking about. I thought that he gave such a beautiful example, So the whole nutshell over here is that seeker who comes to know the Hiranyagarbha, that Hiranyagarbha, or the total intellect, or Mahan Atma and all that, it manifested from the Paramatma, created this whole world, and as though entered the body, means it expresses through everybody. And he said that, Tejomayanandji also gave another very interesting thing. He said, when he was studying Kathoupanishad from Chinmayanandji, way back then, he's saying, when जब ये वाला section आता था ना, तो ये ऐतद वैतद है ना, हर बार repeat होता है. तो बोले कि चिन्मयानंद जी बोलते थे, after he used to say ऐतद वैतद, he used to say, is anything happened? And then हम लोग ऐसा ऐसे देखते थे, अच्छा नहीं happen, कोई बात नहीं, next verse, maybe it will happen again. Did you realize or not? So he's saying that that's what it is. And then he also brought it back that, okay, Nachiketa had asked Yamraj, hey, please tell me what you see. He didn't even tell him, tell me what you know. He said, तुमको जो दिखाई दे रहा है ना, वो मुझे बताओ. So he's saying that Yamraj is seeing this Brahman very clearly, okay? And he is making an attempt to show that Brahman to Nachiketa. Through that we are trying to understand. So that's why he's just telling it, किसी तरह इसको समझ में आ जाए. बीच में मेरे को वो क्रिएशन की स्टोरी डालनी है तो वो मैं डाल देता हूँ. Like that, And the next verse is going to be the similar idea, but using slightly different words. Because the whole idea is tell different stories, just like, we would use different examples. Like, Meenaji was using dream example, and then I was using the waves example, but we are trying to tell the same thing. The same way he's going to pick up another angle in the next verse, but that's the whole idea. I don't know. I tried my best to explain. So tell me if...
That's very nice. But tell me, okay, Hiranyagarbha, is that potential state, or is that the seed state? The seed state.
I think you can call it potential and seed state, but in the pure Brahman also that potentiality is there. So if you go one step before that also, it's something like this. Okay, that's how I understood, and see if it resonates with you. You cannot separate the potentiality of something from the thing. It's something like fire. The potential of fire is permeating in the whole cosmos. Moment you ignite the fire, heat and light happens.
It's its essential nature.
Correct. So same way the Shakti of the Brahman, which is a Maya Shakti, is the essential part of it. You cannot separate it. It's like you cannot separate a dance from a dancer. Okay. It is sometime it will express as a dance, and then sometime it will be in latent form. It will be there in that person. Same way, when you talk of potentiality, you can actually take it as far as Brahman. But a little bit of seed form is happening in the Hiranyagarbha. It's expressed a little more. Because now Hiranyagarbha has become aware of itself.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like a different stages.
Right. We just have to, see that way.
Yeah.
I saw it one way, but now that you're telling, I have to see it that
exactly.
way.
And if something else connects with you more, it's totally fine. And that's what Swamiji is going to tell actually in his commentary. He's going to say that it's like a snake and the rope, okay? Now you're trying to explain the snake. How are you going to explain it? So there are 10 different people. You might make a 10 different snake out of it, depending on the person. Right. That's why you have so many theories of creation floating around. And I don't know too much about the Bible. I was trying to ask my son if he had heard. Unke bhi kuch aisa hai ki first there was a light, and then from that light the universe came or something. Kuch hai. If whoever knows more about Bible might know exact words and all that. And ek filmi gana chal raha tha. One time when I drove to Arizona, I was trying to listen to different songs, and उसमें था जब कुछ नहीं था तब तू ही तू था करके गाना है. I think it's वो वाले movie का है. My name is Khan. बहुत अच्छा है वो. It's a Sufi song, beautiful song, कि भाई तू ही था. Because every religion has that. When nothing was there, Brahman was there.
Yes.
Right?
Okay.
And then how did the world manifested from it? So just telling you the sequence. That's all.
Yeah, you sometimes wonder how the 5 elements came out of it. Those are the 5 elements, the tanmatras, and out of that became that.
And उसमें भी बहुत science है, because Akash came first, and then
yes.
air, and then fire, and then water, yes. and then earth. And earth has all the other elements in it.
Yes.
It's extremely scientific. When you do the Tattva Bodh and Atma Bodh, you learn all these things. Yeah. Maybe somewhere down the line we will do this in the class, but it's you might think that how did they are all connected, and our 5 senses are connected with each one.
Yes.
Right?
In fact, you take part of this each one to make the whole everything. You
yes.
take 1/8 of this, 1/4 of this.
Yes. There's a whole proportion. Oh my God, it's a whole science that our head will start spinning, but the people who are like very intelligent and they can grasp everything. But all the whole science is there in Vedanta for sure. Yeah.
I mean, I could understand why the human form takes it because of the ignorance, and the ignorance is because what we have done earlier. But the main as Hiranyagarbha, I mean, and then the 5 elements, I couldn't relate that what you told me and what this one is saying because I read it and it didn't make much sense. But as I'm hearing you and then what I've read, so it's coming together.
Coming together, very good. So that means that my attempt was.
Yeah, no, definitely, because it gave me some other perspective to see.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Because I think human mind is always कि भाई ये क्या हुआ, क्यों हुआ, कब हुआ, कैसे हुआ, ये सब घूमता रहता है. So उसको थोड़ा शांत करने के लिए like because end में तो शांति चाहिए ना. We have to get rid of all our doubts and say, okay, now what? Now I can think of Brahman. अगर doubts ही आता रहेगा तो you cannot think of Brahman. So
right, but as you hear and all that, the more doubts come in. That's the thing.
Which is okay. I mean, at one stage will come when you will say, okay, I see. Sometimes you may not even connect right now. In the middle of the night when you're awake, you might say, oh, that's what was happening. Sometimes does that happen? Everything is sitting in your head and somewhere some connection happens and like a light bulb goes off and say, yeah, now I know what they're talking about. So
that's when I thank God. Okay, He put it together for me.
Yeah. Okay, so let's see. We maybe we can read next time because only 5 minutes are left. So we will read Swamiji's commentary next time. Any other person has any comment, question, I want to add anything to this, what we did today? Dr. Prabhakar?
Yeah, it is said that not only when the dissolution happens, if the dissolution happens of even the Panchabhutas also, I understand, and also even the sound also will become dissolution happens. And then everything dissolved. And then, as you correctly pointed out, that then when the Brahman decides, then it is the whole thing, creation and everything starts happening. So that is what they were saying, that even the sound and everything is dissolved.
Right. And it's like the modern theory is the Big Bang theory. But even that kind of fits in here in a sense. उनका थोड़ा सा प्रॉब्लम ये है कि किसी ने बोला, एक्चुअली हमारे हरे कृष्णा में बोल रहे थे वो अपने लेक्चर में, which was very interesting way he put it. He's saying on one hand they say Big Bang happened, but the way they describe as some kind of chaotic thing happened. ऐसे बूम करके कोई बम फटा जैसे ऐसे, अगर बम फट गया तो जस्ट इमेजिन कि ये पूरा क्रिएशन कैसे हुआ. तो उनके हिसाब से एक बम फटा और सारी चीजें हवा में उड़ गई और जब नीचे उतरी तो एक अच्छा सा घर बन गया. Hey, hello, how that cannot happen? So what he's saying, there is an intelligence behind it. What they miss out, that hey, they think that human mind has an intelligence. Hello, आया कहाँ से ये intelligence? There is a cosmic intelligence. That's a logical thing, but they somehow discount it. They go ulta. And sometimes I was watching some of the shows earlier. वो physical world में ना source of life ढूंढने के लिए क्या क्या crazy equipments बनाते हैं वो लोग, scientists लोग करोड़ों डॉलर खर्च करेंगे और पता नहीं क्या क्या बनाएंगे just to find. ऐसे उपनिषद पढ़ लो ना थोड़ा सा, सारा money तुम लोग सेव कर लोगे. Because you cannot explain origin of life from the physical world, right? You just cannot. There has to. So the consciousness is primary. Finally, इनका थोड़ी अकल ठिकाने आ रही है. इतना सब करने के बाद उनको थोड़ा सा लग रहा है कि okay, there is something beyond this now. Whatever physical thing they say, there's something more than that. They call it dark matter, dark energy. And जब वो when this black hole thing came around, so to me it was like, hey, it's a simple thing that you can't keep creating, you got to dissolve also, Baba. You need Shiva also. I look at the black hole as a Shiva. All the extra thing it's absorbing and then recreating. Makes so much sense, right, to us? It just fits in beautifully. But ये बेचारे सर फोड़ फोड़ के एकदम परेशान हो जाते हैं. फिर finally बोलेंगे हाँ, there is something more. I don't know. I'm just telling you how I feel when I watch all those shows and all.
Well, the Hinduism goes from inside to out. The Christianity, the Big Bang goes from outside to in. They're trying to
See,
do
Big
that.
Bang is not, you can't even call it Christianity because उनका जो language है ना, Meena ji, you will be surprised. It's Yogananda is the one who translate this Bible into like what it actually means, and it fits because when I have not read the Bible, so I don't know. I know bits and pieces, from hearing. But उनका भी वैसा ही है कि भाई there was a light first. हम लोग बोलते हैं कि Om sound was there first, and then it came. वो लोग बोलेंगे light, but light and sound are related also, just like you said,
Yeah.
So it comes to the same kind of thing that, hey, you are trying to explain the creation. There are many ways of explaining creation. And it was Thaneshwarji who said, Brahman is a very, no, Thaneshwarji name, Sarvapriyanandji bole. Brahman is a very simple guy. There's nothing much. Satchidanand. Maya जब भी बोलो ना, उसकी जो शक्ति है, पागल हो जाएंगे सभी. Because it's a constant creation. And Thaneshwarji is the one who said, it's like we say, that no two snowflakes are alike. No two leaves are alike. Imagine the creating power. Every second it creates new. Every second. Which, on one hand, no changes happened in Brahman, and Maya is exactly opposite of it. See, if you look at it that way, it is just mind-boggling. And forget about leaves and snowflakes. Huh? These are things like inert. Look at human beings. Will there ever be another Meenaji over there in this world? Or Dr. Prabhakar or any one of us? कितने लोग आए, कितने लोग गए. सबकी personality अलग होती है. I don't know how scientifically it's possible. करोड़ों लोग गए और आएंगे. But वो एक जो जीवा है, वो जब उसका जन्म होता है तो वो unique है. That's Maya. When you think about this, you have no other option but to surrender to God and say, my God, you are great. I don't know how you did it, but you're great.
Actually, in the Bible, it says the first thing initially that was there was the word.
They say the word?
Word, yeah.
W-O-R-D?
That Om.
Yeah, so then see how it fits. That's what I'm saying. We think that it's not there, but their theories are all the same only. It's crazy.
Yeah.
बाद में इन्होंने कुछ उसमें even I heard
It's
कि
written in a simplified manner
Yes.
for the other people, general public to understand.
correct.
Whereas this Geeta and all, they are complicated. So we need a teacher.
On even Bible, Shireen,
And
if
in
you
that-
really want to know the essence, you will need some really like a Swami only to explain. Like I told you that, and even this क्या बोलते हैं Islam. If you just go like मेरे को मुस्लिम लोगों ने बताया, बोले कि हमारे रिलीजन में ये सब जिहाद विहाद वगैरह. जिहाद मीन्स make effort to reach God. Can you believe that? I didn't even know that. They told me that when you say जिहाद करो, इसका मतलब उसको effort करो. ये नहीं कि जाके लोगों को मारो. So उन्होंने इतना उसका खराब कर दिया. एंड देन उसमें बोला कि वो बोले कि हमारे धर्म में बोलते हैं कि कोई ये बोलते हैं ना वर्ड काफिर वगैरह ऐसा बोलते हैं लोग कि that you change everybody. No, that's not what it said. It says that whether you believe in God or not, everybody should be treated with respect. It's hard for us because हम लोग को इतना mentally condition कर दिया गया है कि भाई ये इनके जो Muhammad or whoever was in that higher realm, that's not the message they were trying to give to the people. But it's very scary that taking that message and making a mess out of it.
But one question that they say this Brahma was seated Hiranyagarbha within the 5 elements. So the 5 elements came before Brahma?
No, when you say Brahma, it's okay. One is Brahman and one is Brahmaji. So don't mix the two. Brahman is primordial. It's like the consciousness. That is like, okay. Brahmaji it's a creative power of it. So when there are 3 powers of that Maya Shakti: creation, sustenance, and then dissolution. So when you say Brahmaji, who did the tapas, when Brahman became aware of itself and it had this urge to create, because it's something like this, okay? Whatever power you have within you, you will want to create. Okay, Shireen, why did you miss the Geeta class? Because you got so much, you love cooking. And you wanted to create some dishes for whoever, your husband, yourself, your daughter, your son-in-law. So you are cooking because that power is within you. It has to express. So same way Brahman has all this Shakti, eventually it will turn into cosmos. So these are the things that you contemplate upon. So when you're talking about is the 5 elements are in
The
sea.
Shakti is that Brahman is getting stronger day by day because
No, Brahman में कोई फर्क नहीं आता है. It's like
no, it
नहीं.
doesn't change because it doesn't.
Okay,
change.
look at your example. You are one Shireen. Your cooking Shakti doesn't change. You can create your physical thing might change कि आज मैं थकी हुई हूँ आज नहीं, पर तुम्हारी जो कुकिंग करने की शक्ति है उसमें कोई फर्क नहीं आएगा. You can cook today, you can cook tomorrow, you can cook day after. The talent is there in you, right? Or a painting ka, or a poetry ka, or whatever, or other people, whatever hobbies they have, that Shakti is part of you. When it gives the right opportunity, it will express itself. So they're just talking about it. There's these 5 elements and all that. It is almost like a Shakti of that Brahman. It expresses through first Hiranyagarbha became, and then through Hiranyagarbha it expressed further. Okay, it's like sugar and atta. I can create many things from it. Right? Different. I can make a halwa. I can make a barfi.
Dishes, yeah.
Yeah. So same way, hey, these first, the power is there. Then the 5 elements came, and now I can create the whole world with it. These 5 elements. So it's something that you have to keep thinking, churning in your mind, and
Like Parvati created her son from her sweat or whatever they say in the books.
Because
Lord Ganesh.
Ganesh was born, yes. उसका जो बॉडी में लगाते हैं उपटन बोलते हैं उसको, हल्दी वगैरह जो बेसन and haldi and all, yeah, she created. Because the thing is that once you go to that higher and higher stage, then you get those powers to create. That's all. We cannot imagine, but if you really think about it, even in the physical world, they have done many advancements. They can create a embryo in the test tube now, or whatever the early stages, and then they, without a man and woman getting together, they can still implant the baby in your womb.
Born in a tube, just lying in your living room.
Yep.
They're coming up with that.
So usme advancement can happen, yeah, and like we cannot imagine this, but when you read books like Autobiography of Yogi or other people's biography, the kind of thing they tell you in that, if you don't have Shraddha in this, you will think that are they making up this or what? It doesn't sound like his guru created this whole mahal, like what you call a palace for him.
Palace.
Okay, you can go and enter, enjoy everything. Or he manifested from the subtle world, he manifested into a form. Autobiography of Yogi is one that even Steve Jobs gave it to all his people who came to his funeral. Gave it to each one of them. And he read it every year of his life. So and Yogananda ji was like part of, our time in a sense, He was there until I think 50s stuck. And a lot of people actually may have met him who are still alive, I'm not sure. When they were young people. So these people are telling their experience. We cannot fathom it, but it is possible. Definitely possible. Okay, I'm going to close the Kathoupanishad, then we have some time to discuss more stuff. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramaya, Sarve bhadrani pashyantu ma kaschit dukha bhag bhavet. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.